Yo, what's up? My name is James McCool. I'm the owner of PaterDFS.com, and today we're going to be doing kind of a little thoughts video. I wanted to kind of put together a video on the industry in general, and some thoughts on recent acquisitions by companies and touting and content creation and DFS as a whole and everything like that, because I think that there are some things that can and should be said about content creation versus playing DFS, and kind of like how the two things go hand in hand. And I also thought that it was worth putting out there because there's a lot of conversation about this kind of stuff and why people get into the content creation side of things, or touting, or whatever it is that you want to call it. And as a content creator and as like a person who owns a site, I figured I would give some thoughts on this. So this is going to be kind of more of a free form video. I didn't write any of this shit down, but I just wanted to kind of put it down into a video and throw it out there for thoughts or whatever. So recently, over the last couple months, I guess, RPS, Run Pure Sports, has been picking up plenty of talent for their site, which is awesome. I think they have really improved in terms of the content that they put out there and the community aspect that they have built over at RPS. And it sparked a lot of conversation, mostly because these are acquisitions of people who basically said touting is fucking stupid and content creation is bad and touts are scam artists and stuff like that, right? Like there were plenty of those kind of tweets and like messages put out there from the people who were then acquired to then go become content creators and touts, as it's called. And what that has brought up is, okay, well, if you said those things about content creation and touting and all that kind of stuff, then why on earth would you want to then go do that? And obviously, reasons are reasons. Nobody really knows exactly why somebody would go and have those statements and then go and, turn heel or whatever. But I don't think that it's really all that important. And I think that that's really what this video is about. I don't necessarily think that there is ever anything really bad or negative about somebody going from being a DFS pro player, or somebody who pays their bills playing DFS or whatever, or is a very, very good DFS player, whatever, and then goes and decides to get into content creation. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think that it's really good for the ecosystem. And when I say good for the ecosystem, I mean that it helps more and more people become better DFS players. And sure, like that probably drops the edge. And that makes it so there's kind of this cascading effect of the more people that learn how to play DFS correctly or well or whatever, the less money there is to be made on the high end, and the margins get smaller, and then that makes it so content creation becomes more of an attractive path towards revenue rather than playing DFS. So I certainly understand the snowballing effect on that, but I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing that people like Saul G or JBC or these guys go over and join a company that prides itself on having a stacked bench of players that know how to win at DFS, right? That's better for everyone. I think that it's really good for Run Pure subscribers, and I think that it's really good overall to see people being willing to turn heel and say, well, I do want to, kind of see what it's like to be in content creation. But that kind of brings up to the next point of why you would get into content creation and why you would get into touting in this industry. And obviously there are various reasons. What people mostly just assume is for money. And I don't know what those guys were paid over at RPS, but I know how much money I make at PayDirt. PayDirt has a pretty decent revenue source overall. I'm the only person, well, not the only person anymore. I do have some connections and some other people who are working with me now, which is cool. The growth has been great. But, at PayDirt, I bring in enough to support me and my family, which is great. But it's not like I'm a millionaire, I have enough money to live comfortably, but I don't have enough money to just like have fuck off money. I don't have the money to be a really high volume DFS player simply because of Paydirt and because of my subscription service. I certainly don't think that I am making significantly more money doing this than I could if I had a bankroll of upwards of $5 or $6 million to play DFS. Right. So, to say that people are only getting into content creation or touting or whatever because of money, I think is wrong and short sighted. I think that it kind of makes assumptions about the amount of money that you can make in this business and in this industry as a content creator and as somebody who is producing models or producing fucking core fours, whatever the fuck, right? There's not really that much money in it. So as a bottom line, as a guaranteed revenue source, sure, yeah, it's pretty decent. But I don't think that money is ever going to be the individual reason why something like this happens. I think that the more attractive piece of it is, okay, yeah, you get some sort of baseline revenue, but what can you do for other people? That's really the big thing. I do think that there is something really, really great about content creation and touting and putting out info and seeing people find success. It feels great to win a GPP. It feels great to go to live finals. It feels great to be a good DFS player that has like strong ROI. I also think that it feels really, really good, and this is not everybody, but me personally, I think that it feels great to be able to help people find more success than they have before. I think that it feels awesome when somebody uses the models over at Paydirt to win a GPP or to qualify for a live final or whatever, like all of those things. I have always said, and I have receipts of this, I have always said that I would prefer or that it feels great to have somebody winning using the things that I am putting together, whatever content it be. It feels just as good for me to see somebody else have that success as it does for me to have that success myself. I don't value money as much as I value helping other people, or I guess I value it probably equally. And I would think that a lot of people who get into content creation, get into touting, feel the same way. And the main reason for that is it's a fucking grind, dude. Like, I work 12 hours a day most days. And some days it's a little bit less. But especially during peak DFS season where it's NBA, NHL, NFL, all the esports, like if I was running MMA models, which I'm not running right now, 5 sports in a week and 2 daily sports, like that's a lot. That's a fucking grind. And compound that on top of helping subscribers and talking to people all day and interacting with your community and everything like that, it is exhausting. And you can't get into content creation, you can't get into touting unless you're willing to take that on. And if that is fulfilling, right? It's all about it being fulfilling in that aspect as well. The money just is not worth it. Like, unless you're making probably something like 15, 20K a month or something like that, it is hard work. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just hanging out and like slinging picks in the Discord. Like, there's so much more to it than that, And on top of all of that, managing your own volume. Right? I mean, there have been people who have talked about it, and I have said this before. You see a really, really good DFS player who has great receipts and great ROI, and then they get into content creation, and it incrementally starts going down a little bit. And the reason for that is because it is fucking hard to manage your own volume and interact with the community and create your content. Like, all of those things combined, it's really, really tough. There's a balance that most people cannot strike. I'll bring it back to myself. I could play higher volume, probably. And I would probably have better metrics and better ROI and better finishing percentages in things like NBA DFS and NHL DFS if I didn't have subscribers that I needed to deal with. And if I didn't have models that go down 45 minutes before slate lock or whatever. But I choose to help people before helping myself because that is my responsibility as a content creator and as a modeler and as a tout. Those things are really, really important to me, and I have to think that anybody who gets into this game and gets into this industry feels the same way. You have to put subscribers before yourself. Otherwise, you're not doing enough for your subscribers. They come to you for help and for consistency and and so you owe it to them. So all of that to be said, that most of what I see is that people say, oh, well, it's all about the money, or, they got their bag or whatever. But I don't think that it's all about that. I think that a lot of it comes down to anybody. And this isn't just the RPS thing. This isn't, if anybody joins ETR, or if somebody joins Daily Roto, or if somebody joins Roto Grinders, or, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it's never all about the money. In fact, I would say that most people who get into this industry and are doing content creation, like they make like $25 an article or something. Or like, I think I was paid 5 cents a word for a little while at one company that I worked at, it's not a lot of money. When I was working at Daily Roto, that was the first gig that I had, like true gig. I think that I was making I think I was making $20 an article, and I had like 2 articles a week. So I was making like $200 a month. Like I was not making good money. Most people in the content space are not making good money from the content. So you have to be in it to help other people. You have to be in it to try to put it out there and see other people win. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. So that was one point that I wanted to make, was that getting into content creation, getting into touting and stuff like that, it's hardly ever just about the money. The other main point that I wanted to make was some people think that if you get into content creation or touting, like it's because you can't keep up in the DFS streets anymore. And while there may be some truth to that, I do think that there are people who certainly prop up their revenue stream with content creation so that they can then sustain the losses in DFS. I don't necessarily think that they are mutually exclusive concepts. I think that you can both be a good DFS player who still has good ROI and good metrics and be good at content creation. It's really hard, but I think you can do it, and I think we have seen certain people do it in the industry. Or you can be bad at DFS and still be a good content creator. Or you can be really good at DFS and be a shitty content creator. Like your skills in the DFS space in terms of being a player and your skills in terms of being a content creator or a tout, I don't think have to be combined. Myself as an example, again, I don't think that I'm the best DFS player in the world. I think that I'm very good. I think that I've posted winning years. I'd have positive ROI overall lifetime. But I don't have like a fucking 12% ROI or something, right? Like I don't think that I'm the best DFS player in the world. But you can ask anybody who has ever worked with me that I will give my all as a content creator and as a tout and as a coach and like as a mentor to try to help people become the best DFS players they can be. And I think that I have a good track record of being able to do that. So you don't have to be the best DFS player to be a really, really good content creator and a really good tout. And then on the other side of it, that there are people who are considerably better at creating content than they are at actually playing DFS. I think that that there's a couple of different content creators in the industry who I think are really, really, really good and really entertaining at creating content and putting out picks and putting out that kind of stuff, but probably aren't the best DFS players. So I just think that when you look at the reasons why somebody would get into this side of the industry, I think that there's so much more to it than just money, or so much more to it than just not being good at DFS, or so much more to it than wanting clout or whatever. Like I think that you truly do have to care about the people that you are working with and the community that you have around you in order to be in this space and be a content creator and get into touting or whatever. And so I hope that people look at it a little bit differently, and that people look at that as a way of saying, well, if this person wants to get into this, then they must really care about it. And if they don't really care about it, they're not going to be in it for very long. Like you'll see people who, I've seen like 6 or 7 different people just this year that have tried to get into content creation, and it's just fallen apart for them because they just can't handle how much stress comes with it and how much capacity you have to dedicate to it. And it's hard. So I just want to put out some thoughts on overall why people get into the DFS industry and why people get into content creation and touting and everything like that. And this wasn't a plug for anything. It's just that I wanted to put out some thoughts. So if you guys have thoughts on this kind of stuff, reach out to me on Twitter, Pitard_DFS, if you don't already follow me. And hopefully this was a little bit informational and some people learned some things and it helped people think through things a little bit more. And if it didn't, then, what the fuck ever. I have a life and I had 15 minutes to dedicate to it. So thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, I'll talk to you later.